Good afternoon and Assalamu alaikum. You are joined in with Salam Media. This is a special segment that we have today for Nakba Day. We are joined by the Honorable Dr. Naledi Pandor. Now, of course, Dr. Naledi Pandor needs no introduction. However, out of pure love and enthusiasm for her presence, I'll share it with you. The Honorable Dr. Pandor is a stateswoman whose career has been defined by a steadfast commitment to the principles of justice, education, and international solidarity. She's a distinguished politician and academic and served most recently as the former Minister of International Relations and Cooperation for South Africa. She emerged as one of the most resonant voices on the global stage, challenging the traditional hierarchies of power and advocating for a world governed by a singular standard of international law. Her tenure was marked by a historic pivot toward the global south, most notably in South Africa's landmarks legal pursuit at the International Court of Justice. She currently serves as the chair of the Nelson Mandela Foundation, where she continues to safeguard a legacy that famously declared our own freedom is incomplete without the freedom of the Palestinian people. It is a privilege to interview a leader who is female, strong, and ethical, and somehow she always manages to bridge the gap between grassroots activism and high level diplomacy. Dr. Naledi Pandor, thank you so much for being with us today and welcome to the show.
Assalamu alaikum, and thank you very much for that very warm and kind introduction.
Of course. I in no way think I've actually done you justice, but just given the time, I wanted to say as much as I possibly could. Really grateful to have you with us today. Of course, today marks the significant day of Nakba Day. And just to give our listeners and viewers some context regarding Nakba Day, it's not simply a chapter in history, but for Palestinians living around the world, this day is a very memorable day. Nakba literally translates to the word catastrophe in Arabic and refers to the mass displacement of Palestinians. During the creation of the State of Israel in 1948, more than 700,000 Palestinians were forcibly displaced from their homes, while over 500 villages and towns were destroyed. Families who once filled the streets of Jaffa, Haifa, Jerusalem, and countless villages suddenly found themselves scattered across borders, carrying fragments of their lives with them. But the significance of Nakba Day lies not only in what happened in 1948, but rather how this moment now continues to echo through time. The United Nations explains that millions of Palestinian refugees and their descendants remain displaced across the Middle East today. Many still denied the right to return to their homes and families. This is why Palestinians often speak of an ongoing Nakba. In Gaza and the occupied West Bank, at the moment, generations are being forced into refugeehood, and they are continuing to navigate uncertainty, violence, and exile. The past and the present collapse into one another, making it impossible for Palestinians to separate history from a lived reality. Dr. Pandor, where we are at such a critical juncture in terms of geopolitics. If we specifically zoom into the Middle East, we can have a deeper appreciation for everything that is going on, from the crisis to the outbreaks of war, and in the case of Palestine, genocide. Where we are right now, it's very difficult, I think, for even South Africans to navigate and even follow from a news perspective or media perspective, what is going on and what is their role and how do we now contribute with our solidarity, and what is the response that we should be having given the ongoing displacement today. So I'm going to hand over the mic to you, Dr. Pandor, and you can lead us.
Thank you very much once more, and my warm salams to all the viewers of Salam Media. Indeed, this Nakba Day is a day of significant pain for the people of Palestine, but it also reminds us in various parts of the world that there are millions who are not free and who require our support and solidarity. And I think one must always acknowledge the contribution of South Africans, particularly the Muslim Ummah in South Africa, who have been so faithful in their support for the people of Palestine and their cause for freedom. What this day reminds us is that struggle takes many, many decades, but it requires fortitude, it requires courage, and it requires steadfast solidarity. And it is that solidarity that I hope South Africans will continue to show by their realistic activism, their commitment to making sure the world is aware of the struggle of the people of Palestine, by their activism in reminding the government of South Africa that it must continue with the case at the International Court of Justice, as well as with reminding the International Criminal Court that it has already charged and issued a warrant for Netanyahu and his fellow criminals, and that these individuals should be arrested and be brought to trial. We also should ask all who are in solidarity with the people of Palestine to find every means that they can to secure movement and freedom for the people of Palestine. We are in a dismal period at the moment. The geopolitical sphere is at its most uncertain. We are crisis ridden across the globe. The United States of America is wielding war against many, many innocents across the world, joined by the apartheid state of Israel. This means we must not rest in our efforts to ensure that as the South, we really lift out the cause of freedom, the cause of justice, the cause of equity, and ensure that the world understands that from the South will come the best for the world. And I think as the entire universal Muslim community, through support for the struggle of Palestine, through assisting Palestine to place their call for freedom on the global agenda, we can achieve something which the entire community would be praised for, which is to ensure that freedom rings, just as it rang for South Africans, that it rings for the people of Palestine.
Thank you so much for that, Dr. Pandor, and very eloquently said. I mean, given the ICJ case, and the ICC has already found the evidence, and it's already been proven, kind of having to push now with the grassroots activism from not just South Africa but also the global South to continue to pressurize the ICJ so that the arrest can be issued and warranted. Where do you think grassroots organizations can kind of amplify their voices right now in the spaces of politics, particularly in terms of how we can then influence that geopolitical sphere from uncertainty to maybe more progressive politics?
Well, one of the things that I've often spoken about is the need for us to ensure that South Africans accept and understand that this struggle is one that requires the support of all of humanity, because what apartheid Israel is committing is a crime against humanity. And so I believe our efforts as activists must be directed at building a solidarity among all freedom-loving people. This means for us, while as Muslims we are concerned about the people of Palestine, we need to develop a multi-faith movement that includes all faiths in support of the Palestinian people's struggle for freedom. So I think we should be engendering conversations across South Africa of how we can work together as civil society in building a momentum that would be unstoppable. This movement that has grown has not just grown in the South. What has happened since 7th of October 2023 is you have seen the emergence of a global movement. Young people, old people throughout the world are standing up and speaking out vocally in support of the people of Palestine. What we've not done is harness that global awakening and have it directed as a single force toward the cause for freedom. We need to achieve this just as we did with respect to the struggle against apartheid. Eventually, after much work, after persuasion, after engagement, the world came to accept that apartheid was a crime against humanity. The crimes of apartheid being committed against the people of Palestine by the apartheid state of Israel are a crime against humanity. And we need to work to persuade the whole world that we should stand together, working hard until the Palestinian people achieve freedom and have their own sovereign state, free and democratic.
Thank you so much for sharing that with us, Dr. Pandor. And you've mentioned some really critical points, amongst being that this movement, interestingly, brings about all different age groups, all different races, and all different faiths. But really, what we need is that harnessing of that movement and signaling it in one direction specifically. And I think this really speaks to the power, right? And we kind of become contemplative about when we are challenging power and structures of injustice, we kind of want to signal it in the right direction. There's so many different narratives right now in media and news, and there's so many different perspectives that is coming out, given all the content we've also seen on social media. But where should people's focus then be placed? Is it on Israel or is it on the US? And this is maybe a bit of an impossible question, but sure, nothing that you can't handle, Dr. Pandor. There's been kind of some fights on social media, if it's an Israeli-backed US or if it's a US-backed Israel. And so where should people be targeting the attention in terms of activism and just consciousness for the movement building?
Well, I think America is a critical part of the focus the struggle needs to have, because the United States of America is one of the most powerful countries in the world and is a major supporter and ally of the apartheid state of Israel. Increasingly, I think Americans are becoming disaffected at this reality, so we need to intensify this awareness that the injustice being perpetrated against Palestinians enjoys significant support for the United States, from the United States of America, but it does not benefit Americans in any way. So I think engaging with civil society in the United States of America, a reawakened civil society, one that is mobilized and has begun to protest and to debate the matters we're talking about today, and far more attuned to the issues of injustice confronted by Palestinians. That's an America we should not ignore. So all the friends that are emerging, we've seen the important articles, for example, in the New York Times, which are asking questions about the influence of apartheid Israel in the United States of America and indicating that this popular view that this support is unwarranted, this alliance is unwarranted. So questions which have never been asked before, fundamental questions in the American political space, are beginning to be posed, beginning to be debated, beginning to be discussed in real terms. So there's a real opportunity right now for all civil society that is active on this cause to step in and strengthen those alliances. I think we need a common platform of action. You'll recall, with respect to the solidarity campaign against apartheid South Africa, we were very clear on sports boycotts, on boycotts of cultural activities. And, you had a world movement that acted almost as one in support of our struggle against apartheid. we need to encourage a similar level of concerted, coordinated action in order to have impact. This does not detract by any means from regular pickets outside relevant embassies, persuasion of the European Union. The European Parliament is beginning to ask questions about the role of Europe. We should latch onto that and use that moment to build greater momentum. So, for the first time, the evil is being recognized, is being referred to by those who would whisper about it in the past. Let us make use of that momentum and ensure that we do not lose the energy that has emerged and that is beginning to show support for progress in the cause of freedom.
This common platform for all these actions to kind of be consolidated, and we're really going to take that a step further after the break and zoom into the global south and the key role that the global south plays. So we'll be back after this break.
This is Salam Media. You South African, of course. Legends about the future. We've got you covered. On 031 202 4700 for more information. Exchange.
Okay. You can hear it. Yeah. You can hear him.
What happened? So fast enough.
Now, I'm sure if I log on to this thing and I play it, you have feedback. So I love that.
Reconnecting communities. Education, dignity, and empowerment. Sponsor a water well for 17,000 rand in Africa, or a borehole for 65,000 rand in Afghanistan or Africa. Quench the thirst. Reconnect the soul with African Muslims Agency.
It's a wonder how kids get anything done these days. With all the distractions, when do they even get time to study? As a mother, all I can really do is make sure they have all they need to perform at their best. That's why I choose to include Sunfoil triple refined pure sunflower oil with every meal I make. Naturally cholesterol-free and approved by the Heart and Stroke Foundation as part of a balanced eating plan. So whether I'm cooking, frying, or baking, I know every dish will be a wholesome one. Sunfoil, now we're cooking.
Operation Kurban, Laura Timor, will once again be taking a trip abroad for Kurban. Many people in the villages, like the local barbecue land, and only include on the days of Eid al-Adha, support those schools at 2,170 rand for 7 shoes, or 310 rand per shoe. Contact Maulana Timor, Maulana Sajjad, Maulana Hamad, or Maulana Abbad on 011 852 6324 or 072 299 9268 or 082 368 6866 or 072 697 0131 or 073 576 9786. Also at the remotely supervised by team of foreign and local ulama. Visit www.operationqurbani.org. With convenience, transparency, and flexibility, without benefit banks transaction banking account, managing convenient everyday banking designed around your needs. Benefit from zero fees on point-of-sale transactions and manage your banking easily. Your own banking secure mobile banking app and internet banking platform. Whenever your payments to managing your personal or business banking, Old makes banking simple, transparent, and convenient. Visit oldbuttergap.co.za to learn more. Old Buttergap, your partner bank at Buttergap Bank Limited is an authorized financial services and credit provider. Listening to something fresh. Listen to Salam Media, your humanitarian broadcaster.
Welcome back after that ad break. You are tuned into Salam Media. Today we have a special segment with a very special guest for Nakba Day, and we are discussing the significance of Nakba Day, the ongoing Nakba, how it has been influencing shaping the media and the narrative, and the important role of civil society, grassroots movements, and activism. We've also looked at the global south, and we are zooming into that now with Dr. Naledi Pandor. The Honorable Dr. Naledi Pandor is with us. I am still just so excited that I'm even getting to speak to her today. Dr. Pandor, before the break, we were speaking about the Global South and specifically having a common platform for us to consolidate actions and signal it in a specific direction and in a singular direction so that we can really have the impact that we want to have as activists and civil society. And I really want to speak about how we can then move from being subjects, and that is governments and leaders
She's talking, but I
and
can't hear.
national. Um, Dr. Pando, are you still connected with us? Okay. All right. So we're going to continue now. We are looking at how can other nations in the global south move beyond subjects of international law to becoming its primary architects for a just world. Dr. Pandor is experiencing some technical difficulties on her end, so we are just going to give her a moment to rectify that and reconnect with us. In the interim, we will be back after a short break. Please stay with us.
Needs to reconnect. Yeah, actually. Don't tell it to go all the and when it should reconnect.
With the increase of footprint spreading over our heads,
on the past. We need to maintain our presence in the present and to enhance it for the future. We need to maintain our old mosque and to prevent it from being taken from our hands and making the Aqsa free for them on Friday, which is the most crowded in the week. It means that they are looking and they are marching toward the collision. They want either to collide with the people, suppress them, or to just make disaster. You Muslims of South Africa especially, we are missing you. You used to be in the masjid at these events. It used to fill the city. Even if you are not allowed, even if there are some obstacles, you will get the reward. You will have much more reward when you come in a harder times. They showing their link to the Masjid al-Aqsa and devotion to the Muslim cause, because our Masjid al-Aqsa cause is not a local issue. It is for all Muslim and for everyone who believes that the Masjid al-Aqsa is part of their belief, and they should be with us in this hard time.
Jerusalem-based historian, specialist on the history of Al-Aqsa Mosque, and author Dr. Ihab Jalad.
This is Salam Media.
In the instance of this particular matter, you have both Israel and the USA, in spite of the evidence, believing that Iran wants to genocide Israel. And they said the same thing about Gaza, that Gaza would like to genocide Israel, and therefore they genocide it first. Now, the problem with this is that the world ought to act at least on the basis of the evidence that is available to everyone watching this war, that for Gaza, the aggressor was Israel. The one who had every evidence for genocide was Israel. And that as a country, we took Israel to court precisely because the evidence was overwhelming. Now, to go to war without overwhelming evidence that there is genocide intended against you is something that, not only because they break the law, the international law that exists, but also all moral sensibilities ought to be telling us that this sort of behavior is not a 21st century behavior. It belongs in the dark barbaric ages long ago where there was no rule.
Reverend Moas, a member of the National Executive Committee of South Africa's Council of Churches and also a member of the anti-apartheid movement.
This is Salam Media.
As the blessed days of Dhul Hijjah arrive, hearts across the world turn towards the sacred lands of Makkah. Millions begin a journey not only across borders, but towards Allah. A journey of surrender, humility, forgiveness, and mercy. The words, Labbaik Allahumma Labbaik, rise into the skies. Tears fall in sincere dua, and the Ummah stands united before its Creator. This is the season of Hajj, a season of spiritual awakening. Join Salam Media every weekday at 9:50 a.m. on News and Views as we bring you Hajj diaries filled with spiritual reflections, special broadcasts, du'as, live updates, and inspiring voices from the Holy Land.
For me personally, this has been something really incredible because I always tell people that I'm nothing, just a boy from the Kasi who didn't really see much in life, but because of my parents' prayers, my parents' du'as, more specifically my mother, she is the pillar of all the things that I've seen in life which are termed as success.
With the increase of different problems over our heads, we can't just focus on the past. We need to maintain our presence in the present and to enhance it for the future. We need to maintain our old mosque and to prevent it from being taken from our hands, and making the Aqsa free for them on Friday, which is the most crowded in the week. It means that they are looking and they are marching toward the collision. They want either to collide with the people, suppress them, or to just make disaster. You Muslim of South Africa especially, we are missing you. You used to be in the masjid at these events. It used to fill the city. Even if you are not allowed, even if there are some obstacles, you will get the reward. You will have much more reward when you come in harder times. They showing their link to the Masjid al-Aqsa and devotion to the Muslim cause, because our Masjid al-Aqsa cause is not a local issue. It is for all Muslim and for everyone who believes that the Masjid al-Aqsa is part of their belief, and they should be with us in this hard time.
Jerusalem-based historian, specialist on the history of Al-Aqsa Mosque, and author Dr. Ihab Jalad.
This is Salam Media. Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media.
G20 meetings in Brazil has been a strong advocate of going far more independent of superpowers or empire, as it is called. He raised the issue then of de-dollarization. He's now raising the issue of military strengthening and cooperation. And I think that what is coming together is a kind of all of the above strategy, of which military cooperation is one dimension of it. And most importantly, the idea of de-dollarization and exiting from the US financial system is absolutely critical, because it's that financial system that allows them to sanction people and countries. It's that financial system that cuts off aid, because we're all in the SWIFT system.
Former South African ambassador to the US and the founder of the World War Foundation, Ibrahim Rasool.
This is Salam Media.
With the increase of different problems over our heads, we can't just focus on the past. We need to maintain our presence in the present and to enhance it for the future. We need to maintain our old mosque and to prevent it from being taken from our hands, and making the Aqsa free for them on Friday, which is the most crowded in the week. It means that they are looking and they are marching toward the collision. They want either to collide with the people, suppress them or to just make disaster. You Muslim of South Africa especially, we are missing you. You used to be in the masjid at these events, used to fill the city. Even if you are not allowed, even if there are some obstacles, you will get the reward. You will have much more reward when you come in harder times. They showing their link to the Masjid al-Aqsa and devotion to the Muslim cause, because our Masjid al-Aqsa cause is not a local issue. It is for all Muslim and for everyone who believes that the Masjid al-Aqsa is part of their belief, and they should be with us in this hard time.
Jerusalem-based historian, specialist on the history of Al-Aqsa Mosque, and author Dr. Ihab Jalad.
This is Salam Media.
South Africa has taken a very strong legal position globally by approaching the ICJ, alleging that Israel is committing genocide. And what this means is that South Africa has formally recognized the seriousness of the situation and has placed itself on record in this regard. What the report argues in us is that can we continue exporting coal into a system that helps sustain what we have already called a genocide? The report details precisely just how much coal South Africa since October 2023 has exported, and this coal fuel generates electricity for Israel, which then directly feeds into the IDF's genocidal military operations, as well as entrenching the illegal occupation.
A lawyer assisting the SAPS Coalition's Energy Power campaign, Attorney Sirhan Khan.
This is Salam Media. Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam Media. Humanity sets the agenda. Breaking stereotypes, moving boundaries, joining hands. Salam.